So this guy, the Jamer 2000, says in response to me saying that, I stepped off the plantation and I'm still voting for the same values that I had from back in the old days when I voted Democrat. He said, and you are getting exactly what you deserve. So I said, yeah, I am. I got a president who has balls. One that stands against the illegal immigrant invasion, just like Clinton Obama did. I'm loving it. Like McDonald's, go Trump. That's what I had to say. And, it is fascinating, though. It's so fascinating that you get these people, especially black people, okay, that all of a sudden they've been brainwashed into thinking that we need open borders and that it's okay for the United States to spend $500 billion on illegals while we don't get jack squat. There's never been reparations for the black community, other than the fact that we are recipients of all of the entitlement programs, but there's never been any specific reparations like they gave to the Asian Americans, the Chinese, the Japanese, Native Americans. Okay, so we have not gotten reparations, but now this is so slick. The Democratic Party has brainwashed black people into thinking we should support them opening the border, allowing illegals to flood into the country, and then we, the taxpayers, foot the bill to spend $500 billion, giving them free health care, giving them free entitlements, and also letting them steal. Of course, we know what's going on in mini Somalia, where the Somalian community is responsible for roughly $18 to $19 billion of theft, money that's going out of the country and going into Africa, into Kenya, where they are building like skyscrapers, hotels, massive developments, right? So we're supposed to be okay with that. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the logic in that. So it's flabbergasting. I'm flabbergasted. Okay. And this is besides the fact that Bill Clinton himself said we have to have a very strong border patrol. We have to force illegals to be deported. We have to make sure that immigrants are abiding by the law when coming into this country, and we have to protect the American labor force by not allowing illegals to come in and work for less than minimum wage jobs and taking jobs away from tax-paying American citizens. That was Bill Clinton. And even Barack Obama made the same types of comments. Now, the only difference in immigration policy that we had between Clinton and Obama decided to do DACA. And I kind of agree with some of it, disagree with some of it. But his idea was, okay, instead of deporting all the ones that are born here from illegals, maybe we should do something about the ones who only know a life of living in America. And I can understand that. Okay. But he still said that we still got to abide by the law. Now, since then, Barack Obama pretty much has put a rubber stamp on the open border. Okay. I'm doing a view on some of these deleted messages so I can see what this nut job is saying here. Okay. How much more can you be bio garbage? Okay. Yeah, he was an interesting person. Well, come on back anytime, Andrew. It makes it exciting. Thank you very much. Well, anyway, as I was saying, Barack Obama's immigration policy was a little bit different. And one thing, people called him the deporter-in-chief. He actually was not the deporter-in-chief. He turned them away at the border. He was the border defending champion, all right, of all presidents, because he didn't let them in here. So some people tend to think that he had deported 5-6 million people. No, that's how many he turned away at the border. He didn't even let him in. And then Joe Biden comes along and says, okay, we're not only going to just open the border, we're going to send people all the way down into South America and create checkpoints and tell them where to go. And then we're going to use, what's the word I want to say? It's not use. They they warped, what's the word? The CBP1 app was not intended to be used to help illegals to circumvent immigration law, but that's what they used the CBP1 app for. And it helped to guide those illegals who were coming up through South America of where they could come into a proper port of entry and give them an excuse saying asylum without going through the asylum process. And that's how they were able to pull in 20 million people into the country. And they were even flying people into the country. And so we're supposed to go along with that. I don't understand how Democrats weren't outraged. What happened in the minds of all of the Barack Obama and Bill Clinton Democrats that by the time poopy pants Joe Biden comes into office, suddenly they agree with a complete reversal in policy, a complete reversal. And so now we get to this point where the whack job leftist liberals will only focus on the two people who were stepping into the middle of ICE operations and lost their lives. You know, the one that was kicking out the rear tail lights of a federal vehicle, spitting on and attacking federal ICE agents, and then jumping into the middle of a takedown and an arrest, having a loaded gun in his pocket, and he loses his life. And then we had the other one that tried to peel out after blocking a street, loses her life. Okay, and so they say, all right, let's only focus on Alex Preddy and whatever the other dumb girl was that peeled out and almost ran over the ICE agent. They don't want to focus on all of the other murders by illegals. They don't want to focus on all of the illegals who have burglarized, who have committed assault, the ones who have committed abuse of children in a nasty way. They don't want to talk about that at all. They only want to focus on those two people. Ignore all the thousands of people that have been victims of crime by the illegals who were paying $500 billion to come here. They only want to focus on those two and then claim that ICE is just killing all the American citizens. And then, of course, we come to find out that ICE, the same people that we call Nazis, Gestapo, pigs, racist, bigots, you know, all of that good stuff, half of them are black, Hispanic, Asian, okay? Half of them. Now, the last time I checked, half of the Nazis were not black, Hispanic, and Asian. They were all Caucasian Germans. But we're supposed to call ICE agents Nazis now. And they've ruined the word. Now Nazi has no meaning. Gestapo has no meaning. The whole Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust, where 6 million people, Jewish people, lost their life, right? It's meaningless now. Because now we're going to use the same words that described the Holocaust to describe this illegal immigration insurrection in the United States. Yes, an insurrection that is far worse than the January 6th insurrection. This is a nationwide insurrection. But isn't it amazing that the people on the left will only look at January 6th and the handful of people, because it wasn't all of them, the few hundred that were breaking things and busted into the Capitol. They want to look at that as if it was the scariest event in the history of the United States, but they don't look at the many years of ongoing insurrection that they are committing themselves, where we have an illegal immigration invasion, and we all, the masses, have lost their minds and have collectively decided to ignore immigration law.